Today we are at PSPA headquarters here in Warsaw, and with me is Aleksander Rajch. It's a huge pleasure to meet you in person, and thank you so much for dedicating some of your time for this interview.
Of course.
For our audience, maybe you could introduce yourself and PSPA, so just to have an overview of what PSPA is doing and what is your role within this organization.
Well, yeah, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm the co-founder and board member of PSPA. So in 2016, I was amongst the three people who started this organization. Today, the Polish Alternative Fuels Association, which is the full extension of the name, translated into English, has 240 members now. We have over 100 of institutional partnerships. We work regularly on a monthly basis with over 70 Polish cities. We work with both domestic and international NGOs and nonprofit organizations. We work with trade agencies of various sorts, diplomatic institutions, universities of technology, and we split our work into 4 departments, really. All of this work is focused on zero-emission powertrains. So this alternative fuels in our names may be misleading, but it really is only about electric and hydrogen powertrains. So this is, I think, most important to emphasize. Our 4 departments focus on legal issues, and that's the legislative center, as we call it. The training and advisory, which is the competence center. And then we have the New Mobility Center, which is the name of our HQ. And the 4th one, which the research and analysis. I forgot the most important one. It is the core of our organization. So PSPA, since its beginning, has focused on data, on gathering information, aggregating information, processing it, and really putting on the table the best potential analysis, advocacy, and work that can be found on the market to drive e-mobility, drive zero-emission powertrains. But first of all, really support the transition. So we focus on heavy-duty vehicles and electrifying that segment. We focus, of course, on electrifying fleets. 80% of vehicles registered in Poland are company cars, so this is of paramount importance. Charging infrastructure from AC to DC, everything that involves. Also MCS in terms of heavy-duty vehicles. Lithium-ion batteries, now this is very important. It's a Polish strength, of course, but in the end, what we want to accomplish is establish a competence power hub in Poland, but not only Poland, the Central Eastern European region in general. We think this region has vast potential. We think that this region still is lagging behind. There's this 2-speed development of electric mobility and hydrogen mobility in Europe and the European Union. We want it to become a unified speed of development, so this is what we do. We have a couple of initiatives in this regard, including the Green Transport Initiative that we launched in 2021, but also others. We're partners of the European Battery Alliance, the Academy initiated by the Alliance. So we have the postgraduate program with the University of Technology, and therein we try to find the best experts to, well, it's an unsaturated market, so to fill out the void that is still needed to be filled in terms of employment needs. And on top of that, we also try to create a community of EV drivers and EV owners. We have established a foundation, EV Club Poland, which gathers over 6,000 EV users in Poland today. And we launched an application to do so, and we're seeing that it's becoming increasingly robust. Our flagship project definitely is the New Mobility Congress that we organize every September, and this is the 4th edition this year, also with an expo area. So, of course, we are glad to be the partner of your event, but at the same time, we invite everyone to this Congress as well. I think they are highly corresponding events, and I mean, these forums are very necessary to develop the market. So in a gist, I mean, it's a 7-year-old organization that is now the biggest in the region. And we're very happy to play that role. And I think that's reflected in the fact that our CEO, my colleague from the board, Maciej Mazur, has just become the the president of AVERA, so he's at the top of the European Association for Electromobility. So I think the CEE notion of developing e-mobility here is playing well and is understood, and we only need to give it a stronger push, especially in light of what's happening towards the east of Poland.
Sure. So it's really impressive. 7 years, it's definitely not a long time of period, but you successfully achieved so much. As you said, you're already the biggest organization in the region. You have various projects, various pillars on which your organization right now is standing, and you were one of the co-founders. So may I ask, what got your interest in e-mobility? Why you decided to go this way and explore this market?
I've been involved for nearly 15 years in public affairs activities and various campaigns and education awareness building and advocacy.
Yeah.
And it was for various segments and sectors of the economy.
Yeah.
But in the end, I saw the biggest sense in, of course, driving zero-emission technologies. And this is something, from, I think, the perspective of traditional industries, it would be perceived as inevitable. From my perspective, just something that we really need to do very quickly.
Yeah.
And I shifted towards that direction. So I wasn't fully on board since the beginning of PSPA. I was one of the creators, but driving a couple of initiatives.
Yeah.
But for the last 3 years, I've been focused only on PSPA. And it's a huge effort. Electromobility is stimulating, and not that it only concerns vehicles and road transport.
Yeah.
It concerns a number of aligned industries, and it's fascinating. And it's, it captures everything in the economy, and also building value, incremental value by driving industry and modern industry and resolving issues that we have to address, bringing so many interesting people together. So many interesting initiatives, and seeing that happening all over the world and becoming a true megatrend of today. I think once you step into it, you really, not only that you can't, you don't want to get out.
Amazing. I really fully agree with you, as we also started our company with e-mobility event, and when you see how many amazing people work in the industry and what is the transformation that we are going through, it really fascinates. And from that point of view, I know, as you said, you're the biggest organization in the region. So what do you think Poland's role will be in this transformation, and how PSPA will contribute to Poland's role in this, going to full electric, either with BEVs or hydrogen?
PSPA aims to really develop a kind of regional potential, but obviously Poland is our home market. We are a Polish organization.
Yeah.
And we perceive it in a way that Poland has the economy, the population, the size that can, I think, maybe not lead, but really inspire the entire region, support the entire region. Yeah. Our approach and our philosophy, I think, is based on reapplying the solutions that we managed to develop here. And those include a lot of various issues. Subsidies for vehicles, also taking the solutions from very smart countries like Lithuania and implementing them in Poland, like subsidies for used EVs. Various support initiatives, perhaps bonus-malus policies from Western EU states, and doing much more, like fire manuals and guidelines that we try to work out in terms of battery fires and garage fires. This is something that statistically does not occur very often.
Yeah.
But in the end, the media love to take it up and to communicate it. So we are trying to both raise the awareness and the educational capacity of the fire protection services,
of course,
as well as communicate really that it's really a very infinitesimal occurrence of these problems. So these are just examples, small examples. Some of our educational campaigns, some of the things we're doing with the universities of technologies, postgraduate programs, studies, trainings. We have trained nearly 3,000 local authority officials here in Poland in terms of e-mobility. And we're ready to take this program beyond Poland, and this would be really great. But it takes a pretty, I think, a significant effort to establish the partnerships that are necessary to do this. Actually, go into the different sea states and learn what the problems there are. There's a little bit of a difference, but of course they're usually very similar. We have a problem with the energy mix, which is based on coal and non-renewable fuels, let's say fossil fuels. We still have a very strong lobby of transitive fuels, so oil and gas and methane, basically. So there is a lot of that going around in this region of Europe, and it's not always recognized by Brussels. But we also we see that this problem is not fully Brussels' fault. It's also the fact that they usually don't have the data. They're not really aware of these problems. So some of the things that we're doing, some of these activities are also focused on taking the data, the knowledge, the state of affairs of CE, and bringing it to Brussels and saying, okay, so these are our real problems, let's address them. We're very happy to see that much of the Fit for 55 legislation really did recognize this. So this is a great step forward. We hope that the new term of the European Parliament, as of spring next year, will uphold this this dedication to decarbonization.
Amazing. So, and I don't know how many of our viewers knows, but actually Poland has a very strong automotive industry, and especially with the batteries, which I think is one of the key talking points right now in the EV industry. So, in Poland hosts over 14 facilities for batteries and their component manufacturing. And could you share a bit more light on this in regards why companies are choosing Poland as a location for their factories and for their huge investments?
Poland has a very strong battery industry and quite a capable automotive industry, I would say. Our automotive industry, I'll start from the latter, is I think its biggest strength relies on the employees, on the engineering workforce. So it's 400,000 employees, 397,000 to be exact, out of whom 268,000 are employed today at internal combustion engine technologies. So various sorts of engineering capacity, but in that kind of area. Over 65,000 employees in the automotive sector are employed in the post-sale maintenance and repairs industry. So altogether, this is a huge workforce which will probably need to transition towards industries related to e-mobility and zero-emission powertrains. And so we, as an organization that develops this market, that supports this market, together with the public administration and with the industry and business, need to respond to this very quickly, because we're seeing that if we don't, then we can lose over 6,000 jobs net. So just lose them, which is very bad and needs to be resolved. And we see, however, that if we take requisite action, if we reskill, readapt, educate, raise the awareness, and introduce appropriate programs, then we can have close to 20,000 more jobs created by this industry, the new industry, the green industry. So we're looking for these industries, and therein comes the lithium-ion battery industry. It's one of the many that can respond. Of course, charging infrastructure, software, hardware, various areas, renewable PV installation technologies, and all the other related areas can respond. But the lithium-ion battery industry is already here. So how can we respond? Well, I think the most important thing to take into account is that it offers a full life cycle chain of industry, because we're talking about the exploitation of deposits, resource policies, and critical raw materials that we need to gather, that we need to access, that we need to process and refine, because there is this big discussion in the world about the lack of access to lithium. There is more than plenty of lithium in the world. The question is always refining lithium, because we have lithium oxides and we need to refine them. So that's a huge industry already. Then we have the actual manufacturing of batteries. And this is something you've mentioned. Poland is very strong in this. In terms of the output, let's say, that's our strength. This is mostly due we have to be honest, to one producer, LG Energy Solution Wrocław, who is our member. We're very proud to cooperate with them. But also very many other companies as well, including the European Northvolt.
Yeah.
Also a huge component of this value chain, also a member of PSPA. So these are important. And then you have what happens after. So you have that whole value chain of recycling, of second life companies and the industry. And this is all really the same business.
Yeah.
So this is something that is fascinating and exciting at the same time. So in Poland, we have this component of being a huge producer. We have 6% of the global production, which for us generates 2% of our annual export value. So this is very, very important for our economy in general. And we want to create something that is very sustainable. So we would like, as PSPA, to establish the situation where we also invent some of the technologies.
Yeah.
Lithium-ion batteries, the chemistry of that process probably will not be something we will reinvent. But what we can do is work on the casing, on the battery management systems, on the thermal sensors, and that entire area, and probably a number of many more, that we as Poland and here, the region, can start to inspire, to innovate. And these research and development efforts may bear, I think, a very fruitful effect. So, as I said, we need this. And why do we need this? Well, because basically it will drive European competitiveness.
Yeah, of course.
And so in this situation where on one hand we have the Chinese domination, because we're saying 6%, is great because it's a great component of the global output. 6%, another 6% is the US. But China has 70% of the lithium battery production capacity output. So it's really something we cannot match, and we cannot even compete with that. But what we can do is foster that position that we have.
Yeah.
But we can only do that when we're talking about a sustainable strategy. This also needs to be done in response to the Inflation Reduction Act introduced by the Biden administration, which is a very good policy. And the only thing we have to do is match this policy as the EU and introduce an equally good one. The NZIA, I'm not sure, is at this point the perfect solution, but it is a good response and good timing, I guess. But we as the region need to do more, and we need to be competitive. And what does Poland do to attract these investments? Well, Poland is located, luckily, in a great place in Europe. We have access to the sea, and we have access to the biggest automotive market in Europe, just across the border. And you can see that most of these battery investments are located in the southwest of Poland, Lower Silesia. And I think this is mainly due to the fact that they can supply the BEV manufacturers. And here one has to fully emphasize. We believe that the future of passenger road transport will for sure be electric. Hydrogen technologies will come in with the heavier transport, probably even going towards railway, maritime transport, sustainable aviation fuels, and which will be based on the derivatives of hydrogen, of course, the true alternative fuels. But we think that road transport in general will be electric, passenger for sure, 100%.
Understood. And of course, to have the passenger cars and the adoption for the end user, for as you said, for the fleets of business and for the people that are driving the batteries, again, is a very important part of it, of a decision, because we all know that end users, they have range anxiety, charge anxiety. And you at the Green Auto Summit, you'll be discussing together with other experts in this field the life of a battery pack. So from production to using it and then of course recycling, because as you said, this must be a sustainable solution all around it. So from your point of view, what kind of insights are you looking for, or what kind of insights you would like to as well to provide for the audience of the event?
The life cycle of a battery, the life cycle of a battery electric vehicle is something that has been discussed and is being discussed openly in public for some time. I mean, the anxieties and the fears that some of them you've listed, so range anxiety and capacity anxiety, I mean, this is something we understand. It's very close to the battery electric fire
as well.
fears. something that is just unexplained, I think. So if you explain it, it becomes clear and the fear goes away. But of course, we have this whole counterforce of people who are trying to raise the skepticism to fuel it. Well, I've been driving my personal electric vehicle for nearly 2 years now. I have not ever had any problems with range. I have covered thousands and thousands of kilometers across Europe, both Eastern, Central, and Western, and Northern. So I don't see a problem with that. But of course, I promote this, so this may be expected. As I said, we have over 6,000 electric vehicle users in Poland who share my sentiment. So this starts to build a bigger statistics of this fact. But I think in general we need to address them by raising knowledge, by very responsible advocacy and education. This is number one.
Yeah.
So providing the real facts and the data. And here I kind of come back to the main basis of PSPA, which is a research and analysis center. So this is why we approached it that way, because it needs to be explained, it needs to be shown on facts. So definitely talking about it and showing the fact that the first generation of EVs is still driving on the road since 2006, 2008.
Yeah.
We still have some of these vehicles. Some of these vehicles have had their batteries swapped. The development of battery technologies has caused these batteries for this first generation of vehicles to drop prices radically. So people really pay 4,000 euros. They basically have a new car with the Nissan Leafs and other first generation vehicles. So that's what we're seeing. So we see 10 to 15 years is a guaranteed time that you can use a battery electric vehicle, which taking into account that it has 25% of the parts of a combustion vehicle, you really have a reduction of cost that is huge. It's even hard to seriously consider any arguments against it. With data from Transport and Environment and various other leading opinion makers, opinion leaders in the EU, showing that the prices will become equal or even less favorable for combustion vehicles by 2027, 2028. You're really seeing that I think these problems, these anxieties will decrease with that. Of course, if you take Poland into account, you have 20 million registered vehicles on the roads. You have 40,000 registered battery electric vehicles, passenger vehicles on the road in that context. So this is still not a phenomenon that can build a very widespread public awareness. But we're doing this, and I think it's growing. So this is something that I will try to share, definitely, that I think this battery cycle is the best, battery life cycle is the best possible example of circularity, which is a very huge trend also in the European Union, which pertains to so many other industries. But in the lithium-ion battery industry, I think it's shown best. And what I think is important in this regard is that we can establish this value chain entirely in the EU with a huge foundation of the process in Central Eastern Europe. And we have the workforce capable of doing this. We have the knowledge, the science, and the full potential. So this is something that we can do. And in terms of what I would like to discuss with the market, and I always am open to these discussions on how these technologies are perceived by the other areas of the automotive industry. There are so many, as I said, aligned businesses and areas that we can discuss. So definitely talking about how to develop these technologies, how to replace some of the critical raw materials, how to drive recycling potential. This is a huge challenge still ahead of us. Because as I said, there is not that many lithium-ion batteries already used and fully exploited. So the better we prepare for this phase
right now,
the faster we will be able to implement these solutions. And the European Parliament is in the process of now finalizing the Critical Raw Materials Act. The European Battery Regulation is already becoming something that will be now deployed. And it's a regulation, so it's a direct implementation of the law, which is great, but also really challenging. So the EU is responding as in institutional sense. Now we as the member states, as us, as you guys, as everyone involved, the entire market, really, all the stakeholders have to join forces to really make this process come in fast. The 2035 phase out is not that far away, but we shouldn't perceive it in that sense. The climate problem of this planet is also not far away. So
exactly, we need to act now.
Yeah, there is a big sense of urgency in this problem.
Understood. Well, Alexander, thank you so much for sharing and shedding a bit more light on PSPA and as well yourself and what we will be looking at, let's say, at the Green Auto Summit. As I said, we're really happy to have you as strategic partners, not only for our event, but as well for yours in September. That myself personally as well will be visiting for sure and trying to see and understand even better what is happening in the region, how it moves. And as I said before, it's really impressive what you did in such a short time. And we're really excited to see what is in the future. As you said, we have very hard targets and short deadlines, but if we work together as an industry, I can also believe that we can really change this and move in the right direction. So once again, thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to hearing you at the Green Auto Summit on the fourth panel.
Thank you very much, and see you at both events.
Thank you.